welcome back to Young and Unscripted. I am so excited to announce our next special guest on the podcast. She is an absolute powerhouse. I am so grateful to her for all of the opportunities that she has personally given me in this industry and for nurturing me. Please join me in welcoming CEO and Artistic Director of Theatre Peckham, Suzann McLean, to the podcast. Suzann.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, really good actually. Yeah.
Amazing.
Nice day.
I'm glad. So can we just start by going right to the beginning? When did you first decide that the creative industry might want to be something you wanted to go into?
Probably when I was, around about 10, 11, my mum took me to a local pantomime and I saw some young people in there performing. And I turned to my mum and I said, hey, I want to do that. And so she signed me up and that was kind of it. That was my entry point in. And then when I was probably around like 13, 14, that kind of age, the Black Mime Theatre Company, who actually don't exist anymore, sadly, but they did a performance and I went to see that production. And I was really taken by it because in the kind of pantomime world that I was doing these shows and everything, it's very performative. Whereas going to see this production of Black Mime Theatre, it just really touched me in a way and resonated with me. And I realised a real strong power of theatre, of being able to tell personal stories that felt like they would resonate with your own true, authentic story. Yeah. So that was a real game changer for me. And then after that, did lots of different bits and pieces and went to drama school and just went on my creative journey from then on.
What was that performance that they did? What drew you in so much about it?
Well, it was a mimed production, so there was no words.
Yes.
So that was something that was brand new for me because I was like, wow, how can they're not even speaking yet? This is really, really touching me. And it was an all black women cast. And there was some very much like mother-daughter stories and stuff like that. So it was just that thing of just seeing what felt like my life on stage. Yeah. And that I could really really deeply resonated with me.
Yeah, and then from then obviously you became an actor, as you said you studied at drama school. So how was that representation for you? Did you see throughout your career that there was a lot of representation, or maybe was there a part where there was a bit of a mismatch?
I feel like there is a strong legacy of black performers. Yes. And I think it's really important that because sometimes when we're doing the narrative of, there wasn't many people there, we're kind of like erasing the people who were there, yeah? And I want that to be super clear that there were people there who were doing stuff and having, some really brilliant achievements and career successes. Was it comparative? No. Yeah. And are you searching for those things? Yes. My kind of family setup was that my parents always sought out black influential, whether that be productions or whatever it was, they would always be putting that in front of us as children. So in some regards, I saw quite a lot of stuff because my parents were constantly sourcing that stuff and showing us what was possible in the world. And that's in the arts, but also in lots of different industries as well, just to kind of that whole thing of when you can see somebody like you doing something, it can raise your aspirations. Just with that being said, it was a challenge. Even when I went to drama school, I remember having a real identity crisis at drama school of trying to figure out where I fit in, and I remember, like at the end of our first year of drama school, they always, whoever the director of that show, which was Antigone, she had said to us all, "Oh, you can, because it's your first show, you can write down on a piece of paper to say what part you would cast yourself in if you were doing it," and she would take that into consideration. And in Antigone, there was a really small part of a soldier, a little bit comedy, just comes on, does a thing. Do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, that will make sense. I'll put down soldier. Okay. And when the casting came out, she cast me as Antigone.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, and I was distraught.
Why?
I was, again, it's that same thing about figuring out this where I fit in. Yeah. And I remember making a phone call to my mum. I was like, "Mum, I can't believe it. She cast me as Antigone. This is going to be ridiculous. I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. You know, Antigone's got a sister, a brother. The ruler of the land is her uncle. It's like, this is going to be great. There's no other black people. This is, you know," my mum kind of gave me some slaps down the phone. Right. I was like, "What are you talking about?
This is your time to shine."
Yeah. Right. And but you know, my parents were not in the arts, so I was like, "What does she know?" Right. You know, so I still went back in and I said, "Look, you've cast me as this role. This is just not going to make sense. Like, it's just a bit embarrassing." And the director, Stephanie, said, "You know, can you relate to this story of, you know, your brother is out, you know, has been killed. He's out there on the street and the ruler of the land will not let you bury him and wants to put him there as an example. Can you relate?" And going through all of these different things. And I was like, yeah, I can relate or understand, or I think I can portray that. And she was like, "Yeah, but that's what acting is. It's not to do with the colour of your skin. Yeah. It's about the human story that's being told. Yeah. And from my side as a director, I think you can, you know, best tell that story, which is why I've cast you in that part." Yeah. So that was another kind of eye-opener for me, actually. And from that point on, I think it just opened up, you know, some of those limitations that I think were on me because of looking at other things and not seeing enough of that representation. Yeah. And then hearing somebody say, actually, it's got nothing to do with that. At the end of the day, you're a human being. Yeah. And this is a human story that we're telling here. Yes, that did a lot. It did a lot for me. And I think that's something about how I want other people to also experience that. I think that's kind of some of my work and my practice is that, yeah, these kind of, real big kind of turners in my life. Mm-hmm. I want other people to be able to have those opportunities and for those restrictions that they feel that are there, that are placed on us by society, to just strip some of those back. And sometimes you need people who can give you the confidence to be able to do that. Yeah,
I need those mentors. I mean, you are such a role model in the industry and you have so many different things with Theatre Peckham, Young and Talented, all of these things. How do you balance each thing and giving everyone kind of the nurturing that they deserve and need?
Yeah, I feel like there was one point in my life that I think I was trying to separate them. Right. And kind of go, right, no, this is Suzann Young and Talented, there's Suzann the actress, there's Suzann the, you know, mother of a child. Separating everything. And it's like, it's actually, no, there's one Suzann who does these different things. And actually, when I started to lean into that, it was also that I feel like each one informs the other. Mm-hmm. I get really enriched by the work that I do with young people. And when we're, you know, talking about Theatre Peckham and Young and Talented, we're talking about young people from as young as 3 years old. Yeah. And that's learning and enriching and developing and all that sort of stuff, as well as when I'm working with, you know, a professional company in a show as an actor, that's enriching too. And then that reinforces the directing or the leadership that I do within my work. So I think all of them intertwine a lot, and ultimately I think at the core of it all is about widening representation, widening access, telling stories that need to be told, revealing the stories that seem to not get told and being able to do that. So a lot of my work as an actor, I've done some brilliant productions that are untold stories, and that's been powerful to play those roles. But then in my directing, the same thing, being able to have the vision over the whole production. And then obviously in terms of the directing, coaching, mentoring of young people, doing exactly the same thing. What is your story? But why does it need to be somebody else's story? But what have you got to bring? Or even if you're playing this part, but what are you bringing to this part? So where are you centred within this, as opposed to thinking that you have to drop everything and become some other thing that is what we think acting is, rather than bringing your full self into that role.
Yeah, and I feel like with acting, we're always told, I mean, a million people are going up for the same role. So ultimately the reason why you get it is because you're you and you're bringing something else that someone else may not have, and that's what's really letting you shine. So in your experience as an actor, what were you bringing? What do you think was the reason maybe why you were more drawn to those roles and maybe chosen for roles? What was that essence?
Ooh.
Time to pick yourself up.
Can I respond to that? I don't know. I've always had a deep sensibility. Yeah. So a lot of the roles that I tended to get cast in were deeply emotional. Okay. I think I don't run away from vulnerability. And when they say that sometimes the things that are most powerful can also be to your detriment, like sometimes I do, I personally get challenged because I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive to other people, things that are going on. I'm the type of person, if you say, I've got a pain in my back, all of a sudden my back starts hurting. Right. I'm one of those people. Yeah. So I'm like, why am I taking on your pain? Yeah. I can be supportive without having to feel exactly. Yeah. So I'm kind of one of those people, which is a great thing for acting. It's a great thing for supporting, nurturing, mentoring people. It's kind of being able to be so open to the other person's experience that I can allow that to come through in my own work, and then either support them or drive that through the character that I'm playing. So I think maybe it's that. I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who I think maybe it's that. Yeah. The vulnerability side.
Within acting, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you had personally learned as an actor and you now try to instill within your students?
Gosh, quite a lot of things. I think, first of all, link to what we've just been talking about, which is bringing yourself into that. You're clearly and obviously doing the given circumstances of that character. So it's not a therapy session, and you're not up there playing yourself because it's not your story, right? But you're inside this shell of a body with the life experiences that you've had. And so those are always going to be informed within the work that you're doing. Yeah. I can't play a character and think of myself as, I don't know, a white woman who's 20. I can't do that. I can, and even if the person who played the character before was a white woman who's 20, I have to embrace the fact that that's not me. But I'm playing this same character, and for some reason the director has decided that he wants to cast me, so I need to bring now, lean into bringing the fullness of me into this. So that will be one. The other thing is discipline. We as actors, I think, need to be. I think in all art, I think there's a joyfulness and a playfulness within the arts, whether or not that's performing or any other, visual arts or whatever. But there's a discipline behind that, And I think sometimes within the play, we can forget that there is a discipline and there's an art form and also the importance. So if you're playing a character of personal significance, I think you need to do your work to do that role justice.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes it does upset me when the attention to detail of things are not there, because I just think that's such a shame, because that's not how, and obviously I don't know all cultures, but if there's something that I do know of, and I'm like, but
it's not
that's not, it's not, that's a little bit lazy, because there was no homework done there to really dissect what it is to therefore then play this as a truthful character or a story experience.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I feel like in the wider world, and I think it is getting better now, but I definitely have had conversations where people seem to think acting is like the easy route. Oh, it's not a real job, it's this or it's that. But actually, no, to be an actor, you have to do your research. You have to, fully immerse yourself in somebody else's shoes. There's a lot of homework that goes into it. And people just think, oh, you just play all day. Well, yeah, we play, but there's a discipline to that playing. And now, so it gets to 2018 and you join Theatre Peckham. What do you think, what was it at the start? What was it like when you first joined, and how has it evolved in the years?
So Theatre Peckham actually turns 40 next year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been there for 7 years. So when I joined at the end of 2018, there was already a strong legacy that Theatre Peckham had. But I feel like it was one of the best kept secrets, like people didn't know about this.
Yeah.
And I was also coming from a place where, kind of what we've discussed earlier, that representation is really important for me, and also the being able to widen access within the arts and equity and inclusion. Those things are so important. And here we are with a space that's been doing lots of this first-time engagement work and nurturing people into the arts, and some of them going on, like John Boyega, going on and having incredible careers. But not much being said about the institution that is doing that work. Yeah. So I felt like I wanted to really give some visibility to the organisation, really develop the work that was being made there. And also in all of those 40 years, it didn't have the building that it has today. Right. So it only had this specific building with the beautiful theatre and the studios and everything. That was built in 2016.
Oh wow! So was it still in the same place, but just
it was for majority of the years it was in the same place, but not with that building.
Everything. Yeah.
So there was an opportunity there to develop the work wider. So in its history, Theatre Peckham was, I guess, most known for its classes and workshops for young people. I wanted to develop that more so that an older age range could benefit from those classes and that training. So I wanted to really lean into Theatre Peckham's learning theatre ethos that it had. And then in terms of the artistic work, I wanted to give more opportunities for artistic work to happen. The kind of financial setup of Theatre Peckham means that there wasn't an artistic line in the budget in order to do that work. So I had to find innovative ways in which to be able to increase the artistic work that we could do. So that's where things like Peckham Fringe, which started off with a name called Peckham Previews, but it's developed into Peckham Fringe now. It's also where the Young, Gifted and Black model, because that festival approach to programming was an opportunity to do some artistic work for an organisation that doesn't have the resources to programme and commission artistic work. But at the same time with that, it was also an opportunity to really lean into the mission and purpose of Theatre Peckham, which is giving a platform to these stories. So a lot of the time we would get artists who will be, you know, have touted their script around at lots of different theatres trying to, you know, get somebody to programme their work. And that's such a hard challenge. Whereas the model at Theatre Peckham, you know, through something like Peckham Fringe, for example, is an opportunity for them to get their work on stage and to invite those people who they'd probably sent the script to come and see it. Because sometimes you just need to see it to see the potential of the work, and sometimes it's not always on the page. And then also even going on from that, like if you can be a fantastic writer, but you don't know about writing in the form of theatre. Yeah. You know, so you're sending your script in, and even how it's formatted and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just like, you know, pass on that, because the person clearly doesn't know what they're doing before you've actually gone, now hang on a second, there's an amazing story within here. It needs some crafting, or it needs some understanding of, you know, how to write in the thought form for theatre or something like that. But ultimately the story and what it's saying is powerful stuff. And so giving people an opportunity to put their work on, that's one of the great successes, I think, from Theatre Peckham.
Yeah, and obviously with Peckham Fringe, as you said, it is hugely successful, and you must get a huge volume of applicants for the Fringe. How do you assess which show is going to actually get put on in the Fringe? What's that criteria?
So actually with Peckham Fringe, another one of the ethoses from Theatre Peckham is that we wanted Peckham Fringe to be an opportunity for the community to put what they want on the stage. So we have obviously a call out for it, but the curation and selection process is not handled by me. It's handled by a team of locals who are called our ambassadors. Yeah. So, and they are local. Some of them have got like strong interest in the arts, or might also work in the arts, but not everyone in the group is. But everyone has a love and a passion for arts. So, and specifically theatre. So so when those applications come in, they go through all of the applications, and we have a pitching day, and it's amazing because people are like, literally, no, this one has to be in. You know, they're really, you know, and I think it's great and it's amazing. It's really important stuff, because again, it says what it does on the tin. It does what it says on the tin, meaning that, you know, we're saying that it's the community is choosing what it wants to see on its stage, and they literally are. And they're impassioned about that. And also it takes it away from, you know, artistic director ego. So, okay, what is the stuff that I want to see? What are my likes? What am I, you know, and it's like, actually, personally, I don't believe that that's what a theatre space should be. Yeah. It needs to be there for its community. And then I'm not going to know what it's not possible in one person. Mm-hmm. So if I can divide that up with other people who are voices of the community, who can then have a stake in that work, then I feel like that's such a stronger thing than me just making those selections.
Yeah, that's really amazing. What have you seen in the years be the work that has been more successful? Has there been a pattern, or has it really just been random? Just what has spoken to people in that moment?
Yeah, no, there hasn't been a pattern. But I think, and I can't, you know, some of the things where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. It's got to go on a journey. Sometimes people still have challenges of getting people to want to take the work. Right. I'd love there to be, you know, it's almost like I've done a step, and there now needs to be a next step of understanding. Sometimes what's happened is that people have seen an artist's work, and a lot of the time for things like Fringe and Young, Gifted and Black, artists end up being in their own shows as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, somebody will see an artist who's written their production, their play, and then they've also performed in it. Sometimes somebody will come and be like, "Oh, I want you to be in another play," and I'm like, "No, just take the play. Like, don't just take that part. Yeah, they're a brilliant performer, but they were showcasing the wholeness of them, and this is a fantastic production that is ready to go." And I feel like, the industry still feels like that word risk. Again, the models are different, right? So Theatre Peckham, these artists that are on the stage, they're bringing their audience, right? And again, that community feel means that people are coming out to back that work. This is, if you're, I don't know, local kid in Peckham that, boss man at the shop knows, all that kind of stuff, they're going to turn up for you.
Yeah.
The barber shop, the hair shop, these people, they're going to turn up for you because they're like, little such and such, now he's got less, big, massive community, and that's really important. When possibly, I don't know, I'm not in those venues, but when another venue, a more traditional theatre programming venue, is doing that, they're thinking about their existing audience clientele. Yeah. Oh, but does our audience want to see this? And I'm, again, thinking a different way, going, okay, cool, your audience can come, but surely you want to embrace a new audience who have never been in your building. But that's risky, right? And maybe their financial models rely on their regular clientele booking those tickets and seeing stuff, and it's hard to take a risk on not knowing whether or not this new audience is going to buy those tickets. Right. Yeah, so, but I just feel like if we genuinely want this to change, then we're going to have to change the models that we're working with. Yeah. There's no other, that's the ultimate, how anything, forget theatre, but you can't change something by doing the same thing that you've been doing. Yeah. So if you want it to change,
take the risk.
Then you've got to, Yeah. And I hate to call it a risk because I don't see it as a risk, because I know these things they're gonna bang when they're there.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing as well, because obviously with Fringe, you sometimes bring plays back as well, because some of them are in development for maybe the first year, and then they come back and they just get better and better and better. But I suppose there are other theatres that maybe don't want that development piece and they want it to be the fully furnished thing. But actually I think it's so important to nurture the talent, because it's got to come from somewhere. If you want that bright star, it has to start, that flame has to start from somewhere. So then we go to the Young, Gifted and Black season, which happened during Black History Month. What does Young, Gifted and Black mean to you? Why did you call it that?
So, talking to a lot of young people about what happens during Black History Month and the challenges that goes through. Particularly, I'm talking about people who are in school age. And, I kept hearing that sometimes people are like, oh, God, please, no, not Black History Month.
I remember in school, it would be really hard because it was all about the hardships, and we'd have assembly and everyone would be there, and you just be in this awful mindset of, oh my gosh, when is this over? Because it's horrible, a whole month to go through. It's not a celebration at all.
Exactly, right? And I do think Black History Month is supposed to be a celebration.
Absolutely.
Right? I think it's about us acknowledging the rich legacy, particularly if we think about us in the UK, rich legacy of Black British people, the contributions that they've made to this country. And a lot of the time it seems to be usurped by African American history. and beyond, and also, like you said, a lot of trauma, negativity, and we do appreciate the fact, obviously, that that have been adversities and we've had to overcome those. But the weighting seems to be like 85% on the struggle and 15% on the celebration. Yeah. I think every theatre has its Black History Month season, like, what are you doing? What's going to go on that month? It's a tough month for theatre goers who are Black, because they've got to save up all their money to watch everything in 1 month. Yeah, right. But so I was searching for something to kind of like go, okay, I know I'm going to do Black History Month season something. We need to have our offering. I don't want this. Theatre of Peckham's ethos is, largely built on young people and their experience. Mm-hmm. So I want to really centre their experience. And then I think that Nina Simone's song came to my mind, Young, Gifted and Black. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it. That does exactly it. And it's about celebrating young Black British brilliance now that is based on the legacy of what has gone before.
Yeah. And it's had its first season at Canada Water Theatre, which is obviously a huge step. What do you see it doing in the future? How do you see it evolving?
Yeah, I'm always open to evolving and all that sort of stuff. I feel like before it would expand anywhere else. I mean, it's at Canada Water Theatre because we manage that space, so it's a natural extensional progression. But I'd love to be able to find someone out there for sponsorship or something to really embed the work that we do. I feel like, whilst I've kind of said earlier that it's really great that we have this platform and we're given these opportunities to people to put their work on, we don't have the finances in order to support the artists in the way that I would love to be able to support them. And so rather than, I guess, stretching ourselves thin on that, I'd love there to be more of an infrastructure around it. And I do think that it's important enough work to have that behind it. And so I feel like in the work that I've been doing over the 7 years has been to prove to people the importance of it. Yeah. I just haven't managed to get to the point where I've proved it that people now will invest in it. And I think that's the next most important part for me.
Yeah, and I think it's such an amazing initiative. I mean, even with us and Rep and having the opportunity to create something and put it on, I think it's amazing, and hopefully people will see that and how incredible it is, because it really is a beautiful initiative, and I hope that it continues to grow. So obviously then in Theatre Peckham and in your wider career, you do manage a lot of people who are youth. So you have Rep, Originate, Young Peckham, Young and Talented, and these people were young. So what do you think is the hardest age group to create opportunities for?
When I first started at Theatre Peckham, all age groups, if there were activities that we had, there was a cost for that activity. And there was a natural financial challenge from the ages of 16, 17.
Right.
So when you're particularly when you're primary school age, your parents are definitely happy to support, everything. What class? Oh, what can you do today? Horse riding? Okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It can be sometimes that extreme.
Yeah.
That, and then you get into secondary school and parents take a little bit of a step back. Mm-hmm. Some of them keep engaging, but some of them are like, okay, well, you're big enough now, just go out and do the stuff that you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes the ability to ask your parents, can I go can you pay for me to go and do an acting class, becomes very harder at the age of 14, 15 than it was at the age of 8 and 9, right? And then I think when you get to 17 upwards, I think it's definitely hard because you're old enough now to kind of get your own part-time job, but now even if you were lucky to get pocket money, that's gone. I remember because I had my first part-time job when I was 14 because I was like, I don't know, I was always that entrepreneurial person. I wanted to have my own money. And I never forgot, and I never forgive my dad when he was like, oh, and now you don't get any pocket. I mean, and the pocket money was small anyway, it was like 50p. But I was like, what? That's not fair. Like this is the injustice. I was like, no, I want, But yeah, so those things kind of like cease up. You're like, okay, you don't have enough money yourself, and your parents are like, this isn't, I don't need to find activities for you to get you out of the house because you can go out of the house independently. So so there's a real challenge. So we discussed this at board meeting at one point, and we're like, okay, we're going to develop our Young Peckham offer, and we're going to offer that for free. So we're going to take away the financial burden from any young person who wants to participate in those, and we're going to fundraise like crazy in order to make those things happen. So I would say, in answer to your question, it's probably the kind of 17 to 19, 20 age group. I think that's where people need most support. It's also where you're kind of figuring yourself out. You've just done your, maybe you've done your A-levels or whatever higher education that you've done. The trend right now is like, and university, and you don't even have 2 minutes to consider that sometimes. It just thinks like, okay, A-level university, but then you're faced with cost of university, what that means. You're then trying to figure out, is that actually even what I want to do? But it feels like I'm not a success if I don't go to university, and am I mature enough to analyse that for myself, because the university route is not the only route, but it's so pumped that it feels like it is. And you're in that, you're trying to figure out life. You're also trying to figure out yourself. You've just gone through the school institution, and hopefully you've come out of that okay. Sometimes you've not come out that okay. So you're in your own identity crisis yourself. So there's just a lot. I think there's a lot going on at that stage. So I think that is the time when people need the most support.
Yeah, I think especially for that self-discovery, as you said, because you're in this institution for 18 years and you're like, okay, everything's going this way. You're told what to do. You're in school from 8 till 5. So you're like, okay, this is where I'm going. And then suddenly you leave. Like, if you're not going to university, what do I do? Where do I go? There's no option. So I'm interested in the difference between rep and originate. So originate, obviously, it gears you up to be ready for your drama school auditions and then going to drama school to have that traditional training. And then rep, it's where you get in all of these amazing practitioners and you're working within the industry. Why did you want to have the two different forms of training for essentially the same age group?
So just to give a little bit more clarity on those two. So Originate, I actually started Originate. It's a young and talented initiative. That's because it's been running now for, I think we're going into the 9th year, I think maybe. And we actually started it with young and talented Theatre Hall Stratford East and RADA. That was the first cohort. And then Guildhall came on in the 2nd year. But what I had taken to Stratford East initially was, again, reflecting on what young people are saying. So at Young and Talented, our sessions finish at the age of 16. And then I'm doing a lot of unofficial coaching, mentoring, answering questions, all that sort of stuff, because people are literally like, where do I go now? What do I do? I don't know if I want to go to drama school. Some of them have done quite a lot of bits of TV or theatre productions and stuff like that. So they're like, okay, am I already a professional actor now? Because I've done those bits. So do I just kind of like make it on my own? You know, and I have got an agent. Like, so there was all of these questioning things that were happening. And I was like, actually, there needs to be a course that specifically centres that. And also, I think around the same time, there was more and more discussions about drama schools and, you know, the negative slogans of drama schools, stripping your authenticity, or you're not safe at drama school, or all these kind of things. And so, and that would be a big thing that would be coming. Like, I'm interested in going to drama school, but I hear that, da-da-da-da. And so I wanted, again, well, how do you... I don't know that to be true. So, but how do you get the opportunity to get inside the drama school, to then see what it's like, to get a feel of it, and to see whether or not you think drama school is going to be the right place for you. So that's where the kind of like RADA partnership came into it, because an opportunity, because during Originate, they go into RADA and Guildhall and do sessions there with RADA and Guildhall practitioners. So you can get a real strong sense. The other thing was about... again, representation, like, and feeling, or imposter syndrome. Like, if you're, I definitely had a similar thing when I went to drama school of just going, okay, wow, looking around me, is this actually the place for me? Is this right? Am I, you know, every day going in thinking, you know, there's one thing standing out and it's me, so maybe this isn't the right place for me, right? So, and even in terms of going to that drama school audition, if you're coming from a background that nobody in your family or whatever has any idea about the arts, such as I had, and it's overwhelming. Yeah. It's overwhelming. You're going to this big building, biggest building you've seen in your life, and you're going into this big, massive room, bigger than you've seen in your life, with a big, long table, with loads of... Like, it's overwhelming. And then I've got to try and perform my best.
It's a lot.
Right?
It's a lot, yeah.
And nobody on that panel looks like me.
Yeah.
Only my mum, who's outside in the waiting room. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's so overwhelming. And it really used to hurt me as well when sometimes people would say... yeah, just, you know, there's just not enough good black or global majority actors. It's just like not great actors. And I'm thinking to yourself, have you ever considered the 70% of the brain that is just computerizing how you're feeling in that space? Yeah. So when the other person is walking in and they're already walking in with that confidence and stuff like that, I'm walking in with 70% panic. Yeah. And then kind of like going... Voices, can you just be quiet so I can just get my talent out for a second, you know? So I was like, yeah, I just feel like, or even that of giving the opportunity. So the first time, and I know things have changed a little bit now, and, you know, we're doing self-tape auditions and all that sort of stuff. But back then, it was like, yeah, I need these people to get an opportunity to go into that building, get a sense of it, and also... For some of the time, the sessions are in the same room. Like, the audition is in the same room that you've had your sessions. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh, okay, I feel like, oh my gosh, all of those voices are kind of like sunken down a little bit, and I can actually just get to the work. So yeah, so it was that. So that's what Originate is. It was looking at that period for people, trying to understand, like, is that the right path that I want to do? So we're not actually training people up to go to drama school. We're giving people the opportunity to see whether or not the drama school option might be the one for them, which is why we still have an industry showcase, because a lot of agents, casting directors come to those, so then people have got opportunities to get an agent and go into the industry. Yeah. And then with rep, a similar sort of thing, but in a different stage of life. So you might have gone to drama school. You might have had more length of time in the industry in terms of working and stuff like that. But it's a really lonely industry, and you're only really exercising your tools when you're in a job, because you can't afford to attend the classes that people are, brilliant, love to be in class all the time and keep my tools going. But I'm also working in my bar job or day job or whatever else. So that's putting me out of stuff. Or sometimes there's things, when it's like, I'll sign up for, the 10-week course. And you're like, I can't gamble that because I'm desperate for my acting job to come along. And if that comes along and then I've lost and the fees are not cheap.
Yeah, and they're never refundable.
Yeah, so all of that. So I wanted somewhere where people could come to class. That's why it's during the day. I have so many people going, oh, just make it like there's so many youth theatres that are in. I'm like, it's not youth theatre. No. This is training, and this is specifically training on I think it's Tuesday morning, because it's for a specific type of person. Because if there are lots of things that people can go into the evening, then what happens to the people who've got bar jobs and work in the restaurant and stuff like that, ushering at the theatre? They need somewhere to go to, and they can never go to that because it's like, oh, the job that I've got. And the reason why you do the bar job, the waitressing, or the ushering is because you can be free during the day to go to your castings, so you don't have to go, oh, I'm really sorry, can I not come to this shift? Right?
Yeah.
And also, if you're from a certain demographic of people, even when you're having that as a conversation, those employers tend to be less giving to certain people than they are to others. And you just don't want to have that conversation. So you'd rather do a bar job and just the worst that can happen is your agent says, yeah, the casting's at 5. And you're like, oh, damn it. Right? But the majority of them during the day, whatever else, So it's that. I wanted give the opportunity and for it to be a strong kind of with these different practitioners. I mean, it's evolved over the time, but where we are now, and again, it's evolved because of the feedback that we've had from the young people, and they were like, yeah, we just want to learn from lots of different practitioners and stuff like that. So then that's why now, it's every 4 weeks there's a new practitioner. It's there to keep you sharp on your tools and to make you feel like you're still in the game. And also the managing the, I said earlier, the loneliness. You got a cohort of people that you can check in with. So when your self-tape comes up, you've got somebody else to go, hey, can you help me with my self-tape? Can you da-da-da-da-da-da? There's nothing worse than, using your parents and all your siblings
who don't, I'm not in the industry, they don't get it.
Do you know what I mean? They're tutting.
Yeah, they're like, again,
oh gosh,
really?
Surely that was good enough. You're like, no, can you just? It's horrid.
Yeah,
it's horrid.
It really is. And I really second that on the whole thing of having a community. I feel like especially with our rep cohort, everyone is so willing to help each other, and it feels like you grow with each other. Somebody has a project and they're like, oh, hey, do you want to do this? Or come and see this? Or everyone's always sending casting calls on the group chat. So I feel like that really helps just to have people in your corner. And as you said, not feel as lonely, because it definitely can feel like a lonely industry. Would you be able to share with me perhaps a time where something didn't go to plan, but you were able to turn that into growth?
Yes, one of the personal ones for me is when I think about the production Sunny Side Up, for example, which such a brilliant and fantastic production, and I just feel really sad that I still haven't managed to get somebody to take that show. And I'm still, oh, you said like, but how have I turned it around? Well, I haven't turned it around yet.
But it's coming.
But it's coming, yeah. Like just thinking, yeah, and I feel like and it's interesting because we did a first studio version of the show in Peckham Fringe, and then we managed to do a full 3-week run in the Main House Theatre, and I'd say after we did the studio run, I never thought that I'd be able to do a 3-week run Main House Theatre at Theatre Peckham. And so when I was in that moment of going, oh, this is such a great show and it needs to go somewhere else, and oh my gosh, I can't, and no one else will take the show. And then all of a sudden something switched and landed for Theatre Peckham, and I was innovative because we had some funding for something else that we couldn't achieve. And then I contacted the funder and said, oh, could I repurpose that funding into this? And they said yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, now, David, we're back on. Did a 3-week run, and then I wanted, from there, I had hoped that the show would get picked up by somebody to then take that production on tour. And even the Arts Council said, it's amazing, this needs to go on tour. I couldn't land it with anyone to tour it. And then an opportunity came up at Soho Theatre. And so I was like, oh, wow, we're now going to... So it's kind of like not landing in that sadness section for too long and staying open and I guess allowing those energies to come in that will then shift the production onto something else.
Yeah, it's always redirection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you have done all of these incredible things at Theatre Peckham and also with all of your other amazing jobs. But what would you like your one piece, like your legacy? What do you want that to be the one thing you are remembered for in all of this?
I guess I'm trying to encompass everything. I think it lands somewhere in a creator. I love being creative, and I think that creativity comes through everything. So I think even within my leadership and leadership style, I'd say that kind of innovative, creative element is always there. That's why we were able to be so agile and navigate through the pandemic, and why we've been so agile, even when we're talking about rep and how that's evolved over the years. It's like that strong... maybe it's like I'd like people to say that she had such a strong creative brain. Yeah.
I definitely think people would say that about you. And I always finish our sessions asking all of my guests the same question. If you could then give one piece of advice to somebody who wants to be a leader in the creative arts, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be to know your why. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of the times people just think about the end goal of wherever it is that they want to be at. Sometimes that can be about notoriety, it can be about money, it can be about status, which is fine, but it's like, but why? And what's your individual why? And you can't answer that by saying, because I want this status or because I want this money. It's like, yeah, but what is it about the arts that really speaks for you and what you really want to do? And kind of like going back to, what we spoke at the beginning, that experience for me of going to see a pantomime as a young child and going, I want to do that, and then having these experiences and then wanting other people to also have these experiences kind of underpins, if we were to look back on the life of Suzann, it would be a really straightforward and easy book. You wouldn't be going like, oh, but that, okay, oh, I didn't know, like, oh, that was a leap. Actually, it's kind of like, it's really right from the beginning. The time I went to see the Black Mime Theatre Company and realising how important it is to put stories up there that resonate with people. And then here we are talking about young, gifted and black. Yeah. And, So I think it's, know your why, your reason, your purpose. I think that also would help people to not feel so down about not getting some things. So we as actors, obviously we want to say, oh, I'm versatile, I can do everything. But actually, do you want to do everything? And if you were looking back over your life, are there things in there do you want to be proud of everything that you've done? Yeah. Or do you want to be saying, oh, yeah, but that one I just did for money, so we'll just forget about that one. Right? Yeah. So ultimately, you do want to be serving your own values, purpose, and passion. And that, again, comes back to your why. If you know what that is, then when you go for something and you don't get it, you're like, yeah, but, it didn't actually fully align with me anyway. It didn't, and that's okay. And the stuff that is for you will come to you.
Amazing. Suzann, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been such an insightful conversation for me. I really, really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being so fab.
Amazing. And we will see you all next week on Young and Unscripted. Bye.